Jeremy, you're muted.
Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Mime Show. Welcome back to Beneath the Banner's Shadow here on the Erasmus Expeditions. We are back with episode 17. That's what my notes say, so it must therefore be true. This is an Arthurian D&D. If you're starting here, don't do that. There's 16 previous episodes, plus a session 0 that you should really probably start with. But before we do, in fact, get started with tonight's episode, which is titled Thicker Than Water, I do want to warn that this will contain a mature subject matter and inappropriate language. And if those kinds of things are a problem for you, you should leave. Exit. Stage left. What else? Oh, I do want to thank Rachel Ayers. She is the artist who designed almost every shield that you will see in this game. The one that you can see that represents Tord's house, the one you can see that represents Ariana Shiel's. The other three were not designed by her, but there's many more to be seen throughout, and she did a wonderful job. She was a pleasure to work with, so thank you, Rachel. What else? Oh, yes. With everything that is going on lately, I hope that all of you are safe and healthy and have plenty of toilet paper and whatever else you might need, and that none of you are having to go without anything. Wash your hands, stay away from crowded places for a while, and watch more games like this. Because what else are you going to do? So, if you are in fact watching this, welcome. I'm very, very happy to have you. But first, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, tell you that they love you, plug whatever they would like to plug, etc., etc. And we're going to start with Karen.
Hello everyone, this is Karen. I have a channel called Myth and Gears where we do some live plays as well, though it's been a little bit quiet over there lately, but we hope to get that changed in the near future. Tonight I'm playing Ariana Shiel, who for many weeks now has felt very much out of her element and is walking on pins and needles in this land of human baronies and fealties and stuff, and just trying to find her way through.
In truth, aren't we all? But yes, very happy to have you back. It hasn't been that long. Friday, as a matter of fact, you were here gaming. Happy to have you back. And I think for your channel, Sunday? Question mark? Yeah? Excellent. Yeah. Happy to get back into your Genesis game as well. Get to play an air pirate captain. That's pretty cool. All right. Next up, we have Eli.
Hello, everyone. I am Eli Kurtz, and this right here is my cat. Look at him perched up there. Anyway, good to be here and see everybody. Nice to be beating that coronavirus together. We're going to make it, folks. I am here playing Sir John Lightenor. He is a knight of the land of Vykaril. And he is a stressed out foster dad to a son who doesn't need him. And that's what I'm excited to do tonight.
You know, in light of a lot of things that have happened over the last week or so, that actually doesn't sound that bad. By comparison, obviously. Excellent. Yeah, man. Always a pleasure to have you on the channel. I can't wait till you hop back in. All right, next up we have Steve.
Hey, everybody. I'm Steve. I'll be playing Dane. I suppose that foster son that don't need no dad. Or maybe I just need 3 dads, and that's why I have everybody and a mom and another. Well, anyway, yeah. So I do have the channel 3D6. Not a whole lot on it right in a second, but you should definitely come back and join us. And by us, I mean Jerry and myself. Coming up, we do have the next episode of Sunderhearth. That's like 2 weeks from today, right? I believe the 30th, something like that.
Yes, the 30th.
Yeah. Right. So 2 weeks from today. And it is a world building exercise where we're inviting different minds that we know to come and join us for over 12 sessions, one per month, to build a new campaign setting. And it is coming along wonderfully. This week, this session, we have Jeff Doty, and we are talking about magic. Not that we don't talk about magic every time, but again, specifically magic this time. And then coming soon, I'll also be in one of Karen's games, where I'll be playing a robot. That's all I got.
That's all. No big deal. Yeah, man. I'm very excited to dive into the episode where the focus will actually be on magic, purposefully. Of course, then we're going to start talking about everything else at some point through the episode, I'm sure. But yeah, Jeff is a good friend. I'm really excited to kind of get back into discussing gaming with him like that on the mic. I think it'll be a lot of fun. All right, last but certainly not least, we have Josh.
Hey everybody, my name is Josh. I'm going to be reprising my role again as Eddard Bainton Pendrake, newly appointed Lord and Baron of the House Pendrake, reformed, I guess. Gonna see how far I can. Gonna see if I can bullshit my way out of a plastic bag, essentially, when we make it here to the old capital. Not really too much to plug tonight, other than if you have Spotify, Apple Music, anything like that, go ahead and search Passion Point for me and give me a listen. I just recently put out a project of some instrumental hip hop type music, so if you're into that, go ahead and give that a listen. Other than that, you guys probably noticed that Tord isn't here with me, and I want to be the first to say that I miss you, Baron, and can't wait to take that bullet for you when it inevitably arrives in this session. Other than that, let's get it on.
Let's get it on, indeed. Yes, Baron, we're going to miss you tonight, buddy. Hope everything goes well. You get it all sorted out sooner rather than later. Okay, let's see about some D&D. Few things seem as imposing as the legacy of family. If the prestige of a house's name is intact, then it is paramount that you live your individual life in servitude, of maintaining that honor. Your individuality counts for nothing, unless it serves to elevate that legacy. The errors and discretions of the members of such a family are buried as deep as possible, lest it tarnish the gleam of the family crest. But when a blunder is too great to be buried, when such a blemish casts its shadow far over the entire history and future of a family, individuality is thrust upon that person by necessity. No longer are they a part of the house that tried so hard to keep them in the herd. Excommunication of their own, in an attempt to save as much of that legacy as they might. So, what then, when such an error is made as to bring an entire house down along with it? Is restoration of its legacy ever possible? If so, in whose hands does such redemption lie, but in the exile? The five of you are now leaving the town of Aelin, nestled in the barony of Rasenfliot behind you. You are heading northwest, back into the forest once again, this time towards the old capital city of Vykaril. Each of you please describe what we see as your character is saying goodbye and leaving this home, perhaps, for some of you?
I think Sir John doesn't feel particularly attached to Raise and Float. It's a place where he did some daring do, and that's not unique, you know. So I think he's loading up the horse, talking to his retainers a little bit, getting things organized for the trip. And the retainers he's kind of extended to the whole group. So the retainers, I think, are going around and helping out with like everybody else gathering their stuff up, so folks are a little more free.
I think likewise, Ariana Shiala doesn't have too much invested in Raisin Fliot. I think she's mostly, getting her own stuff and her party stuff ready to go. Meanwhile, Tord, I can see him talking to, was it Sir Thomas, saying goodbye. And at one point, Ariana's eyes would lock with Sir Thomas, and there would just be like the briefest of nods as the only gesture of goodbye that she would do to this place.
I think maybe he part way kind of raises his hand, the injured hand, just kind of gives a slight little, not even really a salute, just a slight wave.
So I think Dane is off to the side, probably talking to some of the other servant boys that actually take care of the castle here, and just for a few moments, he's being the 16-year-old kid that he is, not being this adventuring squire. So that's been kind of nice for him. And yeah, I think it's probably finally a call from Tord or Sir John that snaps him back, and he heads over to get on the horses, catching a glimpse of this the back of this blonde lady down washing at the river. And for a moment it's questionable whether or not that's her, but she'll be there when we need her, or we'll be there when she needs us. One of the two.
So I think the last thing that Eddard does before leaving is he approaches Sir Thomas, and after a quick exchange of words, he takes his Pendrake cloak pin off, and he kind of grabs Sir Thomas's hand and puts it in the palm of his hand and closes it real tight and just gives him a nice nod. I'll be back.
Well, I truly hope so. If you've left me in charge for too long, I can't vouch for how this place might turn out.
Sure, we'll be fine. Tord trusts you. I trust you.
Well, I thank you for that trust, Eddard. Lord. He kind of catches himself and then nods his head.
My thanks, Regent. We must be off. Excuse me.
Travel well. So we see the five of you and the retainers of Sir John ride out and into the woods. Instead of following your passage through the woods, we watch kind of in an advanced fashion as this time-lapse styled sun crosses the sky quickly in an arc, and eventually the colors return to the sky and night begins to fall. We come back into the forest, already darkened, and find you camping. Where have you found to set camp? Are you near the road? Are you off a ways? What does your camp look like?
So I think Dane probably saw it riding off maybe to the side of the road, back off a little bit from the road. There's this clearing, and it's not a natural clearing. It looks like someone had cleared it with the intention of working it, perhaps. You can see that the trees have been sort of forcibly cut back. And there are, just at the edge of it, some dilapidated tools of some sort, perhaps a saw, a broken hammer. And I think at first look, you can't tell why the progress here was stopped, but just off to the north side, a little bit deeper away from the road, is a small grave marker that says "To my love," and doesn't have a name or anything there, but it has this small clump of purple wildflowers that are growing at the base of that little grave marker. But it's pleasant, and the woods do a good job of sort of cutting you off from the road and providing you a little bit of eyesight protection. So I think that's where we stop.
And as night has fallen here, and as is fairly typical in Vykaril, the temperature difference between night and day begins to set in and brings a slight fog along with it that kind of creeps along the ground amongst the undergrowth. What are you guys up to in the evening time before bedding down? What are you doing at camp?
Eddard is probably writing. Like he keeps his daily log, just like kind of like a journal. Things that are going on. Earlier in the evening, he probably would have actually taken out his flute and played for a brief moment. It's been a long time since he's had the chance to just sit down and unwind. So that's how he relaxes himself. He writes into his book, and that's about it. He probably makes a bed and tries to get some rest early in the night.
I think after the past few days of pretty serious battle, Sir John is feeling as if he doesn't really need to practice right now, like practice his sword drills and polearm drills and that sort of thing. So he is instead talking with his three retainers. There's a quartermaster, a messenger, and a herald. And I think he was talking to the messenger about a message that they had sent off to his parents to alert them about the news in Rasenfleet.
Bursterburger.
Wrestling flute.
Wrestling.
But anyway, yeah, I think he's sort of conferring with them and making sure with the quartermaster that provisions are set up for the trip to where we're going and that sort of thing.
Yeah, likewise, after the experiences, I believe Ariana Shiel has taken this moment to just have one of those nights of almost levity that we've so desperately needed and have had not for quite a while. And when Eddard starts playing his song, I think at the one point she either borrows the instrument or teaches him a new song, one from her home, and sings it for them.
I think after seeing to like normal camp duties, I think Dane, towards the early part of the evening, was ribbing Eddard a lot by coming over and saying, "Oh, your lordship's stump. Oh, your lordship's bowl. Let me go and fetch that for you." Stuff like that, you know, in good nature. It's very obvious to those who see that that this moment of Eddard sort of becoming this lord has really resonated with Dane, because it does sort of fit that fairy tale mentality that he's been so disillusioned with recently. But I think after that's done and the meal's been had, I think Dane finds himself wandering over towards that little grave marker, and it brings to mind what maybe his mother and his little sister are doing, because he hasn't seen them in a very, very long time. But it's not, for whatever reason, it's not sad. He imagines his little sister playing, you know, among little purple flowers, or, you know, his mom hanging laundry out and things like that. So it's pleasant, and perhaps he comes back and rejoins the group when the music starts to die down.
And you all spend the evening kind of in this quiet reverie. Tord, I would imagine, probably was chopping wood for a fire, probably complaining that he was the only one doing it. And probably drifted off to sleep fairly early. Is there a watch that's going to be set, or no?
I think my retainers can take over a lot of that. But we might need one other person.
Then I would take the latest / earliest into the next day watch, because I would be up early anyway for making breakfast and helping to break camp and helping Sir John into his armor and stuff like that.
Perfect.
I know Ari would spend at least part of the night out and about, as she is a night creature, and this is probably one of the only times that she gets to see the moon and be outside. So at some point, she one of the like midnight I guess shifts would say, she'd be out there just kind of watching.
So it's around this time of night when, we'll just say it's Zettel. She is rousing you from sleep, Sir John.
Oh, I switched all of those out. I decided that the life we were living was too dangerous to bring my
Fair enough.
nanny along. So So she's at home now.
She did not wake you up. That would be really strange.
Sir, I ran a long way.
Edel, what are you doing here?
I teleported, John. No. Okay, so one of your retainers has woken you from sleep. Sir.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute my microphone.
Sir.
What's going on?
Sir. There's a horse coming.
A horse.
Sure enough, if you listen, you can hear this. It's very slow, but it's even.
So I'm basically in a nightshirt right now. I think I'm going to throw on some pants and grab my sword and just kind of step out to see if we can see what's going on.
Okay.
And when I step out, I'm going to sort of go by Dane's tent, which I imagine is right next to mine, and just kind of like shake it a little bit to get him to wake up. Or actually, no, I'll tell the guy who woke me, be like, wake Dane and tell him to spread the news among the others.
There you go. Okay, so Ariana Shial and Sir John, both of you please roll perception checks. Sir John, being a human without a way to see in the darkness, you will be at disadvantage.
But I'm a knight.
There's a silent K.
Oh, damn it.
It makes a difference here, sorry. In this case, maybe there's a vitamin K.
I do need some. I need a lot more cones up in here. Or maybe it's rods. Who can remember?
A silent K.
Silent K. Oh, no.
I got a 15 perception.
15. All right.
Ari's too distracted by Sir John calling himself a knight, and I rolled a 12.
All right.
Joke was so bad it affected you in the game world.
Blinded by puns. So, Ariana Shial, you are apparently just transfixed, mesmerized by the moon, or maybe you're far enough away that you simply just don't hear the approaching animal. But John, you hear absolutely this horse, and it's not coming by road, it's coming through the forest, and it is approaching your camp.
And I can't see it through the woods or anything. I can just hear it right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So, we cut to the vision of the headstone at night, and we see a horse's hoof come into frame and trample some of those purple flowers. There's a creaking of leather as armored boots hit the ground beside the horse, and you hear the horse kind of gently make this kind of low guttural noise. The booted feet turn and begin making their way towards your camp. So, Dane, you have now been roused by this retainer and told that a horse was approaching. Sir John bid them to wake you and for you to wake the others.
So I slip on some boots, and I go out to wake the others. And I suppose I'll start with Eddard and not Tord. Because reasons. But like at this point, I'm not like super panicky about it. I mean, it is a road. There's going to be horses, and they didn't say it was an emergency. So I move swiftly, but I don't like go barging into Eddard's tent, right? I get to the edge of it, and I pull it back a little bit to make sure that he's not like sprawled out, en natural. And assuming I see he's not, I poke my head in a little bit. I'm like, Eddard.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
There's a rider approaching. So John said to wake you.
Yes. Okay. Very well. Allow me to dress, please.
Yeah. And I'll do the same to Tord's tent. Only I know he sleeps all natural, so I don't poke my head in. I just Tord. Yeah. Get up when you can. And I start heading towards where Sir John is if I can see him. Or if I can see the rider and there's no one near him, I'll go that way because I see like 120 feet in darkness.
It's as you have tried and failed to wake Tord that you've kind of turned back and started making your way that direction. When all of you realize that the forest has grown completely still around you. The breeze has stopped. The night animals have stopped making their rustling noises. The insects have stopped chirping. It is completely and totally quiet, except for the sound of footfalls approaching. And as it does so, the campfire's flames in this windless, still night begin to dance, flicker, and then go out. A soft blue glow illuminates from the direction that this rider approaches. And you all see a figure dressed in the armor of a knight, with a mask upon its face beneath a hood. And there are stains that run down the eye of the mask. The clothing is threadbare. You can see behind this knight, his mount is a skeletal horse. His armor is tarnished with the look of grave dirt, and the red of his tabard is the color of coagulation. He brandishes a sword and stalks forward without any reservations. We've already rolled initiative, and we are going to roll into that. So, first up, Dane.
Awesome. So a quick, head on a pivot. This knight is coming from the direction of that, the flowers and the grave marker, in towards
Correct.
our camp. Sir John, did he go towards the road to find this rider, or is he nearish me?
No, he's fairly close to you.
Yeah, I stuck as close to the camp as I could without while also being able to actually see what was going on.
Okay. So I look at you in this, I guess, moonlight and blue glow, looking for some sort of expression on on your face. I don't know how well you can see this figure, but if there's you're obviously not armored at the moment, right?
Yeah, I said earlier that I grabbed my sword, but if I can, I'd like to retcon by saying that I grabbed my sword and my shield.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that makes perfect sense to me.
Cool. So yeah, I've got my shield on and then some pants and a long nightshirt. And I've been holding the shield like strapped to my arm, but with the scabbard and the sword in my hand of that arm. And Jeremy, did you say that we're all able to see this figure now, or is it still only the case that people with like dark vision can see it?
So currently the campfire has completely gone out. So only by starlight and moonlight are you able to see anything, and it's dappled through the canopy. So this is considered dim lighting. So that means that all of you who do not have dark vision are having difficulty seeing, and it will cause disadvantage on a bunch of shit.
Okay. Yeah, so I see the figure, and Dane and I make eye contact, and I just kind of shrug and draw my sword. And
awesome. So as you do that, my sword appears in my right hand, and I hold out my left hand towards him, swirled around for a moment. There's this rush of damp air that blows across us, and let's see if I can hit this dude. 24 to hit him.
Yes, that will make contact.
Okay. And then, so this is going to take 28 points of radiant damage.
You said 28?
Yeah.
Radiant? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And he is illuminated in this sort of faint, wheat golden glow for a moment.
does that? So you said that the night is glowing kind of bluish, right? Or did you say that was from the like the moonlight?
Yeah, it's kind of like the moonlight's intensified behind him.
Cool. I was gonna say like a bluish glow plus goldish light would be almost a green color. That would be kind of neat. Maybe not. That's how it works for pigments. I don't know how it works for light. Never mind.
So yeah, I launched this bolt out of my hand that just, I imagine, collides with him and cascades, and being what looks in Dane's mind as some sort of creature of death, it this blast worms its way through the chinks in his armor and his clothing to deal him that damage.
It does slam into him and stagger him back a step. And you can watch as this light kind of plays through his clothing and his armor, coming even back out the hole of the eye in his mask. And he, without so much as a word, rights himself from this blow that you have dealt him and continues forward.
So as he steps towards me, I just scream, "Who are you?"
There's no answer. There's not even breath. All right, that brings us next to Eddard.
Okay, so for Eddard's turn, how far away is towards tent?
We'll call it 20 feet.
Okay, so I can make it there.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, I would like to make my way towards tent, and instead of awaken him, I would just like to place a hand on his arm and cast invisibility at 3rd level, making both of us invisible.
Okay. And you are still in his tent then?
I'll move out if I have enough movement.
Yes, you would have 10 feet effectively remaining.
Okay. I'll move out and make my way towards the figure.
Okay, so close the distance a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ariana Shiel, it is your turn.
I think at this, she hears the shout from Dane, and whatever she was staring at, focuses on this figure that's walking into our camp. The horse that's left behind, what does it look like?
It is a skeletal horse that is fit with barding and like the kind of tapestry that drapes over a horse and pretty much completely hides its legs. That kind of matches the livery that he's actually wearing, this kind of red and blue.
And how far away from me would this figure be at this point if I was somewhat out of camp?
Let's call it, you've been kind of moving back as you heard, some of the noise and things like that, or you were on your way back or what have you. So we'll say that you are currently 60 feet from the figure. So about 80 feet from the center of camp, give or take.
Okay. She'll pull her short bow out and I'm going to loose an arrow at the creature, or not at the creature, at the figure. In fact, I'm going to loose 2 of them at it. And I'm going to use my bonus action to do Kensei shot to make these ranged attacks deal extra damage. Oh, wow. That is abysmal for rolls. A 9 and a 9.
As surprising as it might be, your arrows fly wild and do not find purchase on this figure. Maybe too many trees in the way.
Mm-hmm. I think, she's going to move closer. So I'll spend movement to go. I can move 45 feet, so I'll go 45 feet as well.
Okay. So you very quickly, after taking these shots, kind of run through the trees, making your way back to camp as far as you can go for the moment. This knight has continued to move forward with its sword drawn. Dane and Sir John, and Ariana Shial to some extent, see as Eddard runs off towards tent. This figure turns slightly to follow where Eddard is headed. Eddard, you've come back out of the tent, now invisible. This figure stalks towards you. That black, empty eye hole that you can see of its masked face is still bearing down on you, as if it sees you perfectly fine. It pulls a whip off of its belt and unfurls it, and as it is closing the distance, it rears back with this whip and cracks it at you, Eddard. It then spins in a flourish and follows with a secondary attack from its longsword. From the whip. Your AC is a 13, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Then it hits you with a 15. You're going to take 10 points of... No, Yes, 10 points of slashing damage. And I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
$24.
24. Though this whip binds about your arm whenever it strikes you, you manage to move in such a way to keep this whip from pinning you in place, from grabbing a hold of you and keeping a hold of you. The longsword strike is going to hit with a 17. You're going to take a further 13 points of slashing damage. In addition, Eddard, because it is you, you are also going to take psychic damage. To the tune of 18 points. As you are racked with every minor ill deed that you have ever done, replayed in an instant in your mind.
Well, with all of that, Eddard has these this barrage of flashbacks, and before his eyes he sees this figure, these black eye sockets just peering down into him, and eventually the picture starts to grow pretty fuzzy and Eddard falls unconscious.
All of you watch as this figure peels off and starts heading towards tent, and then begins attacking in the open. But with his first strike, this whip, you see it wrap around an invisible form, and I imagine you probably hear a noise from Eddard.
Oh yeah.
And in the next moment, following this tremendous blow from a longsword, the form of Eddard phases back into the visible spectrum on the ground. Sir John, it is your turn.
Yeah, so I think as soon as I see Eddard fall, I take off running toward this creature thing. And I think I've... So, a quick rules question. With a longsword, I apply my entire strength modifier and my proficiency bonus. Is that correct?
Correct. To the hit.
Okay.
And then for the damage, just the strength modifier.
Just the strength modifier. Okay,
Correct.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. All right then. Well, I am going to charge toward this creature and give out a bit of a battle cry, and roll to attack, I suppose. Yeah. Has it been a minute since I've seen this thing for the first time?
No, not currently.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, that's a natural 20.
That'll help.
Okay. Tell me how that works again. How you handle criticals.
So you get to take your maximum damage, all of the dice that would go into a damage roll for you, as well as all of the modifiers. And then you roll those dice and add the modifiers a second time.
Cool. All right. Radical. Well, first of all, it's a 30 to hit total, so I assume that does hit.
Oh, in that case, it misses. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, damn it.
Okay. A 20 on an attack always hits.
Yeah.
You went too far around the...
You came back around at the beginning.
Son of a gun. Okay. Let's see here. So
you
I am
outplayed yourself, sir.
It's a D8 to hit, or a D8 damage die plus 7. So 15 damage total.
Starting at 15. Correct, yep. and then add the 7. again.
That's another 18 plus 7, so 25 damage.
Plus the 15.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm also
But
going
wait,
to.
there's more.
So I run at this thing, and I basically like hack at its legs to try and slow it down. And my blade comes up really nimble from behind my shield, and I slash across its forearms to try and disarm it. This is my talon and tendon maneuver. And so I can expend a superiority die. That is an 8. So I add that to the damage roll, which means 33 damage total.
And that die is also added into the critical.
Oh. So I double it?
So if it's a D8, you add another 8 points.
It's a D10.
Oh, okay.
So
then
actually,
you add 10 points.
43 damage total. Don't you mess with my brand new lord.
43.
Tax damage roll. Okay, and then it must make a strength saving throw.
Okay. Yeah. Strength save?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is your DC?
It's an excellent question. I remember this was asked of me last time, and I don't know that I wrote it down.
I believe with the fighter, it's strength modifier plus your proficiency plus 8.
Okay, so 16 DC.
16. 9. Okay. He failed. Barely, but he failed.
Damn right you did. Okay, so he's going to drop his whip, I think. Get that the heck out of here.
Yeah, you cause that slash across his forearm, and the metal of his bracer is cut by the blade of your sword, and beneath you can see gleaming white.
Okay, that's pretty weird. Like shining, glowing white?
No, matte, like something white beneath it.
Gotcha. Okay. So I also have an extra attack, so I'm going to roll that as well. That is much less to hit. We're talking 12 to hit, but I'm going to go ahead and do a precision strike and add a superiority die to that. So that is actually 15 to hit.
Sadly, the second strike glances off of his armor. He is wearing plate mail.
Too bad. All right. Yeah, well, then that's my turn. I came at him to try and thrust to his neck, but, you know, when you're dead, it's not as big of a deal to you, I guess, so missed him.
Okay. Let's see. That is Sir John. That's the bottom of the round. So, all of you, if you would, please make perception checks. Remember, those of you who are in dim light, this will be at disadvantage. Who don't have some kind of dark vision is what I meant. Sorry. You're all in dim light. Actually, you're all in, yeah, because of the moonlight, you're all in dim light. Okay. We got 19 and 18. Okay. All right. So at least Ariana Shial and Dane, the two of you notice as Sir John has cut with the second strike and it just clangs against his armor, kind of sending these sparks flying as the metal grates along it. It cuts part of this guy's cloak, and that part like falls away off of his shoulder, and you can see the tabard beneath his cloak that's kind of belted in place, and on its back that you couldn't see before is a shield that is maroon and blue striped with the claw of a raven holding a ruby. The symbol of House Pendrake, as discovered by Eddard. We are back to the top of the round with Dane.
So, I think I think Dane only slightly sees that shield, right? It doesn't 100% register because his friend is dying on the ground. And I think it's one of those moments where it looks like Dane grows 2 inches and puts on about 15 pounds as he grips his sword, and this golden light sort of washes over him, and there's this reflection of moving water behind his eyes. And he just screams Eddard's name and then turns his gaze towards this knight, charging him, yelling "damn you" as he goes towards him. And as Dane moves forward, his feet are leaving these splashing prints that wash towards, in this sort of golden light, towards Eddard, who 4, 6, 10, 15 gets back 21 hit points. And as I approach this thing, I'm going to attempt to thrust a sword into any part of it that I can, muttering this incantation in an ancient tongue as I do it. 22 hit him?
Yes, it absolutely does.
All right. So I will stab into him with Celestial, my sword. It will do a whole 6 points of damage. But he's also affected by Booming Blade. So if he moves before my next turn, he will take additional damage.
All right. If that does, in fact, happen, remind me of that trigger, please. Mm-hmm. All right. So Dane has dealt another strike to this individual, thrusting out with his sword. And Dane, your sword passes into this guy, and you can feel there's not as much resistance as you might have expected. Almost like his armor's hollow.
Right. I think that Dane fully expects that, right? This is one of those monsters from those fairy tales, right? He doesn't know what it is, but the fact that it's not all there, the fact that it's dead, the fact that it's malevolent, it is evil, like, is just 100%. Like, this is the first fight that Dane has known 100% in his life that this thing has to go away.
Eddard, brought back from these horrible memories, back from the brink of what you realize now must have been death. You see Dane pulling away from you just in time to thrust his sword into this knight. It's your turn.
Okay, so I was down to death saving throws. He healed me for 21. Am I back up?
You are at 21 hit points, but you are prone.
Okay. Let's see, give me one moment. Let me mess with my character sheet real quick. So I think that there's just a moment where Eddard is seeing all of the, still like playing in his mind, the misdeeds. And I wouldn't say that Eddard is like a hateful person or like intentionally misleading or anything like that, but sure, there are some things that he's done in his life that he regrets. And in the darkness, he actually sees Reagan once, just for a brief moment, and he opens his eyes, and that purple energy is just coming from his eyes. And I don't think he says anything more than just screams at the top of his lungs. And I would like to cast Shatter at 4th level.
All right. What do you need from me?
A Constitution save.
Con save. Let's see. Okay. And what is your DC?
A 15.
Okay. He got a 17 total.
Sir John and myself have to make that same save.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, yes.
What
yes,
is the
that's true.
save?
Constitution.
Constitution save 15.
Bless you.
Yeah, I know you guys don't have high con or anything.
Well,
Steve's face.
Oh, one of us does. I'll let you guess which one of us is not.
but I rolled very low, so in total I got a like a 13. Yeah.
What's the radius of that spell?
10 feet.
Oh, okay, so I'm
Yeah, I was gonna
just
say, it's pretty
outside of
close.
it.
I got exactly a 15.
Okay.
He
So-
takes,
Is it half on the pass?
yeah, I rolled 17. So
Okay, so Sir John will take 17 points. Dane will take 8 points. The creature will take 9, because I always round in the party's favor. So,
cool deal. And if I could use my movement speed to scurry to my feet, that's probably what I'm going to do.
absolutely.
And how much is it to go up from prone? Half?
Yes, it costs half your move.
Okay, well then I will take. Well, am I at a?
Yeah, if you try to step away
Yeah,
from
if I
him,
move
he'll-
off, well.
yeah, because he's right next to you.
Oh wait,
Because I don't think Shatter moves him. Well, especially if you passed, I don't think it would have.
no, it doesn't. I was trying to see if I had enough points in Rogue, but
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Do you have a second
I'm not
level in
second
Rogue?
level.
Oh,
I'm just one. So yeah, close, but no cigar. It's all good.
All right. Okay. That was Eddard Ariana Shial. It is your turn.
A lot's happened since this. So she sees Eddard go down and it's like, Eddard, no, you vile creature. And she's going to run towards, well, she's only got a few feet left, but she's dropping the bow and pulling out the short sword as she goes. And we are going to try to attack. I see her coming from behind him, so she's going at its back, this creature with her short sword, trying to like basically plunge it into its back. And that would be a dirty 20.
Yes, that'll hit.
Okay, perfect. And I am using a key point as I am one with this blade, putting all my power behind it. Oh, nice. Sorry, plus. That's 15 points of magical piercing from that hit. And then she's going to follow that up with, as she kind of slashes out with, like lunges with the sword. It's almost like a round, like a sweeping kick with her leg. She's going to try to hit it right behind its knee. And that would be a 13 to hit.
As you bring your foot around, this creature shifts its position almost as if expecting this move from you, and instead the top of your foot collides with the front of his metal greave.
Okay, almost like in a dance, she kind of does like almost like a back bend round as she spins, and with her bare hand she's going to like basically I cannot speak, palm first into his chest. This is as a bonus action. She struck, and that would be a 25 to hit.
Yes.
Okay. And that does 8 points of magical bludgeoning damage.
Those of you nearby are slightly astounded as Ariana Shial's final strike actually dents the front of this plate mail armor, and you can hear a snap that happens inside and resonates through this metal shell. Okay.
You am alone.
This entire time, through all of these attacks, even through some of these countermeasures that this creature has been taking, this knight, this weeping knight, has never taken its eyes off of Eddard's form. It has paid zero attention to any of you. Still staring at you, Eddard, as you have stood. This creature puts its arms out wide to either side, one empty of its whip, but one still very much holding this longsword. It kind of produces its face towards you, as if like a challenge. The cowl falls the rest of the way, revealing the other side of this mask, likewise weeping. This sad visage staring at you, and as it does so, this booming rasp emits from this creature. Why? All of you in a 30-foot radius. I need you to make wisdom saving throws, please. Fantastic. All of you managed to shrug off the worst of this mind-penetrating effect. Full would have been 14 points of damage. All of you saved and only take 7. Several of your ears are ringing with this supernatural sound. It then turns and steps around Eddard, almost like trying to put Eddard between itself and the rest of you.
Okay, I'm gonna roll its damage for moving.
You can roll an attack. Oh, because it moved, you get to do that. Yes, sorry. I thought we were talking about an opportunity attack.
No, 15 points of lightning damage.
15. So, 1. Okay. The lightning explodes and dances all over the silvered surface of this very immaculate plate mail armor that this knight wears. And it seems to still pay it no mind. It is moved into that position.
Is this when we... Did it move away from...
Oh, yes.
The rest of
yes.
Yes, we
sorry.
can
All
attack
3
it.
of you would also get an attack of opportunity against this.
I got an 18 to hit.
That will hit.
I also got an 18 to hit.
That will also hit.
I got a 16 to hit. Actually, I want to use an inspiration and re-roll that because I can do better than that. That is better. 27 to hit.
Yes, all 3 of you will hit.
So 8 points of magical piercing as I hit with a short sword.
So 14 points of, I guess, magical slashing. It's a magical longsword, right?
Yes, it's the Sword of Lightnor. Foresight,
Mhm.
Talon of Foresight.
Talon of Foresight,
Yep,
yeah.
it is.
Cool.
2 points of not magical damage because my sword's not magical.
It's just about how you use it, Dane.
But I'm that's right. But I can magically heal, so that's okay.
There's a trade-off. This creature, having taken these strikes from all 3 of you, again, the physics make sense. Your attacks land. This thing takes visible damage. it just doesn't seem to care in the least. It has moved around to the other side of Eddard. All of you need to make a second wisdom saving throw. Okay, Dane with the 18, Eddard with the 16. Shieldhouses with a 4. Ariana Shial with a 13. Okay. Dane and Eddard. The two of you, though this situation is bleak, you've managed to kind of keep your courage with you. Ariana Shial and Sir John, you feel this sense of dread in the pit of your stomach that starts to kind of send this cold wave moving throughout your limbs and the rest of your body. Both of you are under the frightened condition. So that means you have to use your movement to move straight away from him, basically, on your turn. Okay, Sir John, it is your turn.
I would like to please move straight away at my full speed.
That sounds like a plan.
So John sees this happening and realizes that he's in bedclothes and this thing is indomitable. He wants to make a hasty retreat, like a controlled retreat actually, but it ends up just being turning and walking away as quickly as possible.
This thing doesn't even pull its attention away from Eddard to swing at your hasty departure. So single-minded is this knight. That brings us back to the top of the round with Dane.
So I think seeing Sir John strategically remove himself. I think it shakes him a little bit seeing Sir John back off like that, because it's obviously not a strategic like move, right? Like he's running in panic. And so Dane not sure what he's supposed to do. Jeremy, is it possible to forego your action to interject yourself between someone and another target, i.e. if this thing swings at Eddard again, that I can take the hit instead of him?
Do you have a point of inspiration?
I do.
You can spend it to do so, if you'd like.
All right, cool. So that's what Dane will do.
Okay.
He's going to move himself into a position where he can do that.
Okay, and we're going to treat it like a dodge action.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Let's see. That was Dane. Eddard, it is your turn.
Okie dokie. Let's see here. I think what you said about the courage is really getting under his skin. He knows that there's no running from this. He can see through the invisibility. He'll probably chase me to the ends of the earth if I ran. So Eddard straightens up his back momentarily before getting into like a crouch stance with his arms spread. And he says, "Two can play this game." And he just whispers under his breath with this purpley pinkish energy, and I would like to cast Dissonant Whispers. That needs a wisdom saving throw of 15.
Okay, wisdom. A 15?
Yes.
He failed with a 14. Again.
– 18 points of psychic damage.
Eddard, please describe to me what it looks like as this attack defeats the Weeping Knight.
So I think what Eddard mumbles under his breath is, "You're nothing but a memory of the Pendrake's past. I am the future of this house. Now be gone."
With that, this armored knight seizes up. There's a small shudder that moves through it from the helmet down, and then it collapses into a pile. Threadbare clothes, pristine-looking plate mail armor, this silver mask atop, and all of it mingled with bones beneath.
Eddard also collapses into a pile, just on the ground, into a heap.
You are out of combat. What would you like to do?
Are we still frightened, or does that effect end as this creature falls?
As this creature is undone, you find the fear that was welling up inside of you ebb and disappear entirely.
So John is going to head over to Eddard on the ground or wherever he is. And Eddard, did you say you're conscious or not?
Yeah, he is. He's just kind of sitting, slumped over, just trying to make sense of what just happened. He's
Sure.
definitely conscious.
Okay. So John comes over to him and kind of kneels down and says, "I'm sorry I ran just now. I don't know what came over me."
Magic. Did you feel it?
Yes, perhaps. I felt fear.
I felt it too. You are not alone.
What was that thing?
Why did it want you?
Jeremy, do I know anything about this creature? I know you said it seemed kind of familiar, maybe.
Not familiar, other than
Okay.
just the heraldry that it had on its clothing,
Right.
the colors. There does seem to be a pile of stuff nearby, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm rummaging.
All right, anybody who is looking, please roll an investigation check, please.
Why did it have your crest on it?
A Pendrake.
Yeah,
They've been
Ari's-
around for years. You know, do you remember talking to the White Witch?
Aye.
The Pendrake family has long been disbanded.
But why? And why would it come after you? You're a Pendrake.
Perhaps it's not too happy about the change in leadership.
What do you mean?
Ari, I don't know. I wish I could explain. I know nothing of this creature.
But it knows you. It didn't even look at us.
With that, I think Eddard would kind of make his way over to the pile. I think the first thing he really goes for is the mask.
You remove the mask, and beneath is very much what you would probably expect to find. The gleaming smile of a skull, devoid of any flesh, long, long ago. And it simply glares back at you with its toothy grin and blank eye sockets.
Is there anything I gather from the 17?
Yes.
All of the stuff that I want to grab is like rudimentary stuff that we were already exposed to, like the cape and probably the pin and the mask, and that's really it.
So, looking around this pile, you find, other than the things you saw, the armor, the longsword and the whip, the mask, you notice 3 additional things. Dane and Eddard both see these things. Ariana Shial, only you see this first thing. Well, I'm sorry, not only you. You, in addition to Eddard and Dane, see this first thing. The first thing that you see is that it is carrying a chain, almost like a chain of office, but this is a very, very special, specific chain. Ariana Shaw, you noticed this chain, and it stood out to you, but Eddard and Dane, you know that this is a chain of Galalon. This is an honor that is only bestowed upon those who are buried in the crypts of Galalon, in Vykaril. Only nobility and high-ranking priests and heroes are ever buried in the crypts of Galalon. And when they are buried there, this chain is given to them as they are entombed. The other 2 things that Eddard and Dane find. Eddard, you find a ring on one of the fingers of this knight. It is silver and is in the likeness of an owl, with its wings kind of extending backwards and forming the band. You get the sense that this is no normal ring. This silver has not tarnished with the obvious age of its master. Dane, the item that you find is a woven bracelet. It is made of some kind of plant root, and what you guess is maybe sinew, and then hair. If you like, you can roll, let's call it an intelligence check.
Is it intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like an inspiration die?
Wait, Dane swapping intelligence of 10. I got a 15, so that's what I rolled on the die.
So, do you want an inspiration die from Eddard?
I'll take an inspiration die. Let's do it.
It's a D8.
All right, so 19 total.
Okay. The 15 would have worked, but 19 guarantees. This is tomb thistle root, the same flower that Sir John had to pick from the grave outside of where the White Witch was. Mm-hmm. In addition to being this plant root, you are certain that the sinew that it is bound with is a stag sinew that has been soaked in blood. And the hair belongs to Eddard. That is where we're going to take our break. So, 5 to 10 minutes. Smoke them if you got them. Go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. Wash your fucking hands. don't turn off your cameras, players. And if you are watching this evening, thank you very, very much for tuning in. And stick around because we will be right back. Now you should be able to hear me. Excellent. Welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us this evening and watching along. It's been a very, very exciting first half that I've been waiting for a very long time to put these people through. So now that they have experienced this fresh trauma, the Weeping Night is nothing more than a pile of bones and discarded effects. A ring, a chain, this tabard bearing the house sigil of House Pendrake, some weapons and armor, and a mask. Eddard, it sounded like there were a few things that you were interested in claiming from the Weeping Night. What are those?
Yeah, I grabbed the mask and actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave the cloak and the cloak pin. I take the mask and the ring, and that's it.
Is anyone else claiming anything?
I think when I don't see Eddard take the pen, and knowing that he just knighted Tord recently, like I might grab the cloak pen to maybe without Eddard seeing me to give to Tord later on. But I definitely, after examining this icky bracelet, walk over to Eddard and Eddard, I don't like to think that magic is evil. Just the people who use it are. But there is, we both know it, there is some magic that is just evil. And I'll hold this bracelet out towards you. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Do I recognize the hair?
I'll point out the different elements to it. You know, the grave thistle, the sinew soaked in blood, and your hair.
I don't know. Jeremy, have I ever seen anything like this? This kind of charm?
If you would like, you can make an Arcana roll.
Sure. 22.
Yes. So this is what is deemed black magic in the Kingdom of Vykaril. This is the ingredients, if you will, the rite of creating a revenant. A creature that has a single-minded purpose and with one target and only one target in all of existence, that it hunts with unwavering duty.
Dane, have I ever told you about the man from my dreams?
Only bits and pieces. I've heard other parts of it when you cry out in your sleep.
What this is, to keep it simple, it's such a strange feeling. Like I don't know this person, but I feel like they've known me for my entire life. I've had these dreams since I was a kid. That person, this just solidifies the fact that I think they're out there. Somebody created this corpse to wander the land of Vykaril strictly to find me. and kill me. It was a revenant.
I had a feeling it was something like that. Although my mother didn't practice black magic for evil, there are those in her family that did. Messing with the dead isn't something that should be taken lightly.
Especially not someone like this. You see the chain.
Yeah, he was buried somewhere very specific.
Could have been any member of the Pendrake family.
He may have just been a hero to them as well.
Well, if one thing is put to rest, it's that this creature did not come after me because of its own accord.
No,
That makes any sense.
Someone who has access to the crypts.
Are you saying someone has desecrated your ancestor's body to do this to you?
Yes. Someone who I don't know, but like I've said, has known me for years.
How long have you had this
The dreams?
dream? Aye.
I don't know when they started, only that they became frequent when I was a teenager. I just can't get the look of his eyes out of my mind, no matter where I go, no matter what I do. He's after me.
And you don't know who he is? A name or anything?
Nothing. Can only describe his features as elven, olive skin with yellow eyes. I don't know a name. I don't even know. In Warrenton, there weren't many elves to begin with. I mean, you are the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that I've known for, however long. I've no leads. One thing's for sure, I need to get this body properly buried where it belongs. Would you mind? Yeah. So Eddard would stand and attempt to make a shoddy grave for this, for the bones and the equipment and all that good stuff. I don't want to disturb this corpse any further than it's already been disturbed, tracking me across Vykaril. So I'm as gentle as possible.
As we're going through that process, and perhaps when you go to start throwing the dirt, I think Dane grabs your hand, and then while holding your hand, he reaches down and he takes off the chain that designates this guy as a hero, that guarantees his specific resting place. I think this should be, at least this bit should be returned. Not
Right.
lost out here in the woods.
You're right. This doesn't belong out here. It belongs in Galawan. I just wish I knew whose corpse. God. He has some very visible shakenness on his face. After all this has transpired, he looks pretty rough.
So when we get there, we go and look at it. We find out who this man was and what he really meant to your family. Because this isn't his story. This is what someone's done to him.
And maybe by putting and finding out who he is, maybe we find out who's done this. There might be some clues.
Hopefully there is some sort of correlation. But Dane, have you ever been to the crypts? Yeah, me either. I don't know how easy it's going to be to find which body has been displaced.
Forget identifying the body. It'll be hard for us to get there being rogue lords.
There's ledgers that are kept that tell you who's buried there. That's at least a start.
Lord Pendrake, do you know if many of your family were awarded with the Chain of Galalon before their death?
I'm afraid my knowledge of the Pendrakes ends where most of us does. Everything I've learned of the family, I learned from the White Witch.
Well, perhaps we can track down that at least.
Yes. In any case, I think Dane's right. Eddard grabs a chain from him and puts it in his pack before continuing to bury the rest of the remains.
So John would absolutely help with that burial.
I think Tord probably would as well.
Tord's asleep. All that screaming doesn't matter.
I think perhaps while they're doing that, similar to the simple grave marker for whoever's buried under those purple flowers, Dane makes one, and not knowing who this is, just inscribes it to an unknown hero. May you never be disturbed again. And places it at the head, and then murders the bone horse. Because not natural.
Let me check something real fast, because it's not, as you might have guessed, a normal horse.
Right.
What is the
new horse?
Summon steed? What is the spell that paladins get? Anybody know?
Find steed?
Find steed, is that it?
I have no idea.
I think that might be it. Alphabet, you are my friend.
I believe it is call your horse.
Whistle loudly. That's the spell. Yes, it is in fact find steed. So okay, so yes, it has disappeared, not fallen or run away. It literally just vanished whenever the Weeping Knight was downed. Okay. So I heard that the mask, the ring, and the chain have all been claimed. The sword, the whip, and the armor are being buried with this individual?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless Dane took the bracelet. I don't know if we took the bracelet.
Yeah, I'm hanging on to the bracelet. I'm
Okay.
not putting it on because I don't want to
Probably
murder
good
you.
to hang on. Probably good to hang on to.
Okay. Yeah, so just if you did take those items, make sure that you have them marked down. Whenever we get the chance to investigate them more, we can do so. Okay. Digging the grave will take some time. Out in the forest here, there's lots and lots of soil, luckily, but there are also a lot of roots, so digging takes a little while. But you manage to put the Weeping Knight to rest for a second time, and at some point in the mid-morning, a little later than you would have normally, you're able to break camp and press on with your travels. So, on to Vykaril then, I believe. On the road to Vykaril, is there anything else that you'd like to do, or any kind of discussion in particular that you feel should happen in light of what just occurred?
Eddard is unusually quiet and really won't speak unless spoken to. If somebody interacts with him, it'll kind of take a moment for him to register what's going on. Not only did we just have that whole encounter, but he also didn't get a whole lot of sleep during the night, so he's looking a little worse for wear.
I imagine Tord is also fairly cranky this morning, his usual cranky self, but maybe even a little more so. But he's also strangely quiet. Okay. So it sounds like you guys are ready to roll into Vykaril. So I would assume the plan is just to ride in during the day when the gates are open, straight in the front door, right? Yeah, okay. Just making sure I'm not going to make assumptions and you guys be like, wait a second, we were going to sneak in through the sewers.
I actually think something I would like to do is to send my herald ahead of us, not to announce that we're coming, but to get the lay of the land and figure out, like, ask around and see if there are rumors about us and what we're doing, and try to get a sense for how welcome we'll be whenever we arrive.
Okay, so give me a d20 roll.
Okay. That's a natural one.
Oh. Okay.
They've never heard of you.
Your herald heads up into town. If you were intending on having them come back and report, they have not done so.
Oh, like past the appointed time.
Correct.
Okay. Well, so we've kind of stopped like a short rest style camp or something down the road from Vykaril. And after a certain time, I turn to the group and say, "You should have returned long since. This is troublesome to me. We have been tearing up the countryside southward for weeks and making no small mess of things everywhere we go. I'm worried that we are not welcome in Vykaril."
You think they detained him?
I hope they detained him. Perhaps we should not go out of our way to make ourselves known when we arrive. And so John sort of goes into his saddle pack and pulls out a long cloak and throws it over. Probably best to stow away any heraldry we have displayed as well. At least for now.
Eddard's still wearing his dusty clothes, and he just covers up with a cloak. No heraldry on display. Only thing is, he's carrying his dagger, but it's kept under the cloak.
I imagine Tord probably also, his... I don't know if he got his shield painted before you left or not. But it does have...
I think I remember him saying something about that.
Yeah, I know he asked about it. So we'll say, yes, it's been done. And now he's lamenting having to kind of toss his dirty, road-worn cloak kind of over this freshly painted shield and hide it just after having it done.
There's a glance of knightly solidarity between he and I. It's like cover up my own insignia.
So, John, did you say we were taking like a small rest from the travel?
I assumed we're not making camp and
right.
Food and stuff, but we're taking a break waiting for the herald to return.
Okay. Well, in that brief moment, I would like to use my last 3rd level spell slot to use a new spell. I am using sending to reach out to Reagan. I can send a short message of 25 words to a creature with I'm familiar. The creature hears the message in its mind, recognizes you as the sender if it knows you, and can answer in a manner. Immediately, the spell enables... You can send messages across any plane, across any distance, even to other planes, but if the target is on a different plane, there's a 5% chance it doesn't arrive. So, basically, I just call out to her, and I tell her that I am scared and I am in Vykaril, and I ask where she is in as few letters and words as possible.
It's like a telegram, you get charged by letter.
Yeah, basically. This is back in the day where text messages cost money to send.
Dude, that hurts. I remember that. All right. So, you send this message out as you guys are making your way towards the city of Vykaril. It spreads out before you in the light of the sun rising. This tower stands over the gate, casting its shadow well over the row houses that are built just outside the wall. This is a very large city, and you can tell just by looking at it that it is also ancient. Some of these stones were laid by Divinian hands back when their empire conquered these lands and brought them under one rule. This place is enormous. By far the largest city that any of you have been to, at least in some number of months or years. Eddard, after just a brief moment, you hear a message that says, "The Bleating Lamb, sunset."
Wonderful. Thank you.
You all make your way through the gate, this towering archway, as its iron portcullis forms almost jagged teeth across the open maw of this gate. And you pass into a bustling city. People are going everywhere, to and fro, already with the rise of the sun starting the activities of their day. Shopkeepers are throwing open the shutters, opening the door, sweeping the front steps. This town is coming to life as you enter. So each of you, if you would, please, describe to me something that you see as you're entering Vykaril. And let us know what you're doing. What is the plan?
I think as we walk in, Ari notices down a street some guards just on patrol, walking about, and this small child runs out in front of them, and with no thought or anything, the guard just kind of pushes the child aside, and it falls into kind of like the mud puddle on the side of the road, and they just continue to walk past, not even noticing what they've done.
So John sees a market down the road, and the sunlight kind of spills into the market a little more. It's off to the side. They're not actually walking toward it. It's like a local market, not one of the main ones. And he sees there are people going about their mourning, but in particular there is a carriage, and he doesn't necessarily seem to recognize the carriage, but he does reach into a pouch hanging from his belt and pull out, almost unconsciously, this kerchief, and he's sort of uh, f- playing with it with his fingers a little bit, and he turns to his quartermaster. It's a woman named Constance, and he says, "Constance, when was the last time you were in Vykaril?"
She says, "Oh, sir, it hasn't been since I was a wee lass. Very young."
Very well. What I need you to do is to, as surreptitiously as you can, try to find the Herald. And
Yes, sir.
also, no, in fact, leave that to me. It's my task at this point. What I
As
need
you
you to
wish.
do is to find a place where I can get cleaned up, away from the eyes of the nobility, but I need somewhere reputable.
Nice place, sir, but not too nice.
Exactly.
Yes, my lord. And she kind of curtsies and then bustles off quickly.
Thank you. And I think then he just kind of goes along with whatever the rest of the group is doing right now.
Eddard, Dane.
I think the thing that catches Eddard the most about the folk of Vykaril, and it may not seem like much to others, but these folk, specifically the laborers and the guardsmen and women, are just a little bit like bigger than the humans that he's seen in his travels, especially than the ones from Warrenton. But he thinks maybe it's because of the work that they do around here. He knows that Warrenton is mainly, the lumber and the logging that they were doing in the forests. He's not sure exactly what they're doing around here, but they are noticeably, at least to him, a little bigger. And what Eddard is trying to do in the moments leading up to the town, to the leading up to the day, he is kind of mingling, just kind of keeping his ears open around the market. And he will definitely start to ask around about this place just to see if there's even a Bleating Lamb establishment in this city. He's trying to gather where exactly this person is telling him to go.
So it doesn't take you very long asking around at all. That you're told that the Bleating Lamb is just an inn, a pub, at the northern end of town, where you guys kind of came in on the southeast side.
Okay, so a little ways.
Yes, you could get there.
This is a massive town.
Yeah, but I mean, you could probably walk it and be there, mid-afternoon easily.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's what he's doing. Glad he's got that info. He kind of just mingles with the rest of the group to see what else is going on.
So I think what really catches Dane's attention are these larger buildings, right? These, I mean, ancient and stone buildings, and one in particular that has this sort of jutting tower where there are these robed individuals going about some sort of work there. You can just sort of make it out that there is some sort of garden that is being grown in this tower. What you might expect to be a bell tower. Those four sort of open sides instead have these plants that look very strange, like they're not even ones that Dane's accustomed to seeing, and they're being given care to by these bald men in blue robes, just going about their business with almost no thought to the fact that they're walking around, several stories in the air as they're trimming and taking care of these flowers. And it just is this shocking contrast to the thrum of humanity that is in the mud and streets, is that someone somewhere can afford that. So I think maybe Dane's horse is even starting to fall behind as he's slowing it down so he can keep watching what's going on. And I think it's It might be that same moment that Ari saw with the child sort of being flung to the mud that snaps him back, and all of the illusion of a nicer place is instantly drained out of that moment. Because what Dane is learning is that fairy tales are things that you tell people because people don't deserve them in real life.
So, now that you are in this old city, this what was once the capital of this kingdom, you have most of the day ahead of you. You know there are a few things here that were at least discussed being accomplished. Something about the crypts of Galalon that are here in the city. Something about possibly talking to the Duke of House Lathelbrun, who is in charge of this duchy. And seeing about finding your wayward herald, Sir John. Oh, 4 things. And then Eddard meeting someone, perhaps, at the Bleating Lamb. So tell me, what would you like to do with your day?
I would like to find a moment aside with Ari, because Dane has kind of been eyeing her a few times, and I think she's gotten the idea that there's something he needs to ask her that maybe is outside of the earshot of Eddard in particular.
Yeah, so maybe maybe Eddard is, I don't know, we're going through a market or something, and he's a little bit distracted with some of the things on display or something, and we could fall behind a little bit. What is it?
Ari, do you remember back when we first met and we were running from the guards and we ended up in the woods?
Hi.
And do you remember who we met? That Fae?
As soon as you say that, there's a visible shudder that passes that Ari can't suppress. I will never forget.
One of the things that he said he could take from us if we didn't give him that kiss was hair.
And blood.
And then I kind of like pulled that icky bracelet out of my like pouch. All right, this has Eddard's hair in it, and the magic that would bring back someone from the dead, that's old magic.
You think it might have been our Fae friend that's done this?
I don't remember if Eddard kissed him or gave him hair, but I think it was his hair. I mean, it's a weird coincidence. I mean, I know Eddard said that this person has been after him since he was a child, and he had elven features. Well, Fierne has pretty elven features.
You may be onto something here, but
And he's old enough to have a grudge against all of Eddard's family, like since the beginning of time, maybe. I don't know how old Fae actually are. But, I mean, nonetheless.
Do you think there might have been something that happened in the past from the Pendrakes and this creature? Maybe.
I remember that when we first met him, that he called us all barbarians and questioned why you'd bother traveling with our kind.
Hmm.
I remember that he had said that people like us had betrayed him before. Like, I mean, it kind of fits.
I kind of do.
And he showed up right before we went to the witch, which, I mean, she was using grape thistle also. I mean, he was right there. I don't want to bother Eddard with it because he's got a lot in his mind and a whole bunch of maybes and possiblies and assumptions. Those don't really help anyone.
No, I think let's keep it between you and me for now, unless we know a little more. But Eddard doesn't need to know. He's got far too much on his mind right now.
Do you think that we could reach out to Baneshell and ask him about it, or even just, I mean, sneak out into the woods and see if we can get a hold of Thirne? Like, I don't know that he'd answer us directly, but maybe he would.
Again, Ari shudders when he mentioned trying to like seek him out.
I mean, he wouldn't tell us for free. It would cost us something, but
I have no more to give.
If Eddard needs that information so that he can figure out who he is, then I'll find something to give Ari.
It's dangerous.
So is everything we do every day.
You just can't go looking for him, though. That's just asking for trouble.
So is taking Tord into a town.
A different kind of trouble, aye, but...
Like, we're going to be here for a little while. I don't imagine that you necessarily want to go sit and have tea with some duke. No. And if I go, I'm just going to stand there and be quiet while Sir John does Sir John stuff.
If you are set in your ways to find this, to try and talk to this Verne, I will go with you. You'll need protection.
So I very gently sort of reach out and touch your chin and move your head to look towards that tower I saw earlier. We wouldn't even need to leave the city. That garden's not natural either. And if for no other reason than curiosity, maybe he would show up there.
All right. Tonight?
Jeremy, Dane kind of looks up at the sun and around quickly. Is it any chance it might be like a full moon or a new moon tonight or within the next couple of days? I can give you a survival roll if you want me to.
No, I mean, like, you guys just had several nights out on the road. Roll me perception. Or not, I'm sorry, not perception. Roll me percentile. I will say there is a 25% chance that it is a full moon.
All right, so I'm hoping you're going with the low because I rolled a 4.
I typically do. I typically consider it being low, so... Okay. So, yes, it is in fact a full moon. A very full moon.
I think tonight would be good. And that way, if we can get it done tonight while everyone else is resting and preparing, then if we do need to go and talk to this Duke or help Eddard to get into the crypts, then we can be with them. Or if we just need to stop Tord from negotiating the way he negotiates.
We may want to bring Tord with us.
So Dane looks at that tower and imagines Tord trying to clamber up it. He's never really struck me as a gardening type, but if that makes you feel... And then he kind of looks at you with like this very curious look.
It will
Safer.
keep him out of trouble.
Mm-hmm. And Dane kind of like cracks a smile at you. All right, well, we can bring Tord. All right. I also worry that this isn't the only one of these things that's been made. If there's another and they come from this crypt, then all we did was bring Eddard even closer.
We need to find out who's behind this, because that will be a fear that will follow us forever unless we find out and deal with it. I agree.
So we'll ask Fairnight tonight, and if not, maybe we can get more answers in the crypt. We need to figure out if we're even allowed in the crypt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess we're not.
Well, I certainly wouldn't be.
Well, that's not true. I'm sure there are elves buried there. I mean, Baneshell's a shield bearer.
Not here.
He was here. I mean, it's exactly where this all started. That's what this is. This is the beginning. This place is the beginning of everything that was good until we messed it up. Until people stopped believing. Until people stopped being heroes that deserve to be buried in those crypts. This is that place. So if there's any place that an elven shield bearer deserves to be, it's here. So don't discount yourself based on how you were born. Just worry about who you've become. The world would be so much better.
Oh, Dane. You are wise beyond your years. If only the others, if only humans could think like you, I think we could have peace.
They will. Someday.
Someday. Oh, we should catch up before they wonder where we've gone.
Don't want Tord getting jealous. And then I start walking back towards the group.
I think Ari just kind of shoots you a glare. Maybe you don't see it, maybe you do.
Oh, I see it. I just let it like bounce right off.
I think that in the meantime, Eddard would plant the bug in Sir John's ear that there is a nice inn and tavern north of town called the Bleating Lamb that he's heard from many townsfolk is low-key and won't draw much attention. He does his best not to show his true intentions. He's just trying to get to where he's going.
Eli, would you like for Sir John to perhaps perceive that there is more to what Eddard is saying?
You could certainly try.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think that'd be a great thing
Eddard,
to do.
roll me a deception, please, and Sir John, roll me an insight.
Insight is not so bad. Yeah, not bad at all, in fact. Well, that roll sucks, though. Got a 9 total.
It's my highest stat. Don't worry about it.
I just appreciate that deception is a stat for Eddard.
You mean your newly minted lord? That's that's surprising to you.
Deception is a tool.
How many levels in politician do you have?
7 bard, 1 rogue, 12 politician.
Yeah, what level politician and how many points you have in deception? That's actually equal. It's the same. All right. So, then what is the plan? Is the plan to try to head to the Bleating Lamb, or Sir John, are you trying to... Where are you beginning your search?
So I think I would start off. Oh boy. I would start off in the closest market or tavern, whichever is closer from the gates that we entered.
You find yourself in a place called the Rooster and the Goblet. It's just off of that small market that you passed just a moment before. It's not the worst establishment that you've ever set foot in, but it's the kind of place that serves watered down swill.
Sure. So I go to the bartender and I have my cloak on and everything. I order an ale. And then when it's brought over to me, the bartender puts it down on the countertop and I reach out and I, not forcefully, but grab his wrist. And I hold up surreptitiously a golden coin. And I say, I'm looking for information about a herald that came through the city earlier today.
Yeah. He kind of takes his pinky and kind of gestures to where the small Lightenor emblem is kind of peeking out from beneath your cloak, from where you've kind of grabbed a hold of this guy's forearm.
Mm-hmm.
He wore your colors, Lord.
Indeed.
He kind of eyes the gold coin.
Sir John moves his hand to where it's no longer grabbing the guy's wrist. He kind of opens his palm and puts the coin in it and then folds his fingers shut.
He takes your payment bribe and tucks it away in one of the pockets of his leather apron. And he says, yes, Lord, he was in here causing some trouble a bit earlier.
Trouble? What kind of trouble?
He had a bit too much to drink, a little rowdy. Broke a chair.
Did he?
Aye, sir.
And I trust you summoned the authorities?
It's all I could do, sir. It was either that or wallop him myself, and I didn't want to stir up no trouble.
Of course. Where is the nearest guardhouse where he might be detained?
Oh, sir, there's no need. He's in the stockade across the market.
Thank you. And then Sir John's just going to walk away from the beer and go check out these fucking stockades.
You cross the market, and as you do so, you hear the jeering and the giggling of children and things. And as you close, you see there in the stockades, head and hands drooping through the holes of this stockade, apparently passed out drunk, as he is being pelted with rotten vegetables and eggs. And the children are laughing at his expense.
So John watches for a little while, and then he looks around and finds a bucket and goes to a horse trough and fills that bucket with water. And then he walks over to his herald and kind of shoos the kids away and then just all over the guy's face.
And he kind of wakes with a start. I'll take every single one of you. Oh. Sir John. He kind of realizes where he is. Oh my. Sir John, I can explain, sir.
We thought you captured and killed
I have
Harvard.
been captured, sir. See?
Don't take that tone with me. You tell me whatever hardships you faced, and I will decide how much longer you shall remain here.
Yes, sir. I saw an old friend, sir, and he invited me in for a drink. There's a local place, and he kind of tries to point, but he's facing the wrong direction, and he's kind of limited by the wood of the stockades. It was over there, sir. I didn't mean to, but one drink turned into, well, several, sir, and I don't remember much else after that, sir.
Do you remember at least if you had the presence of mind to do what I asked?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, of course. They have heard of you. Yes. The news is not very good, my lord. Many here still believe that. Well, sir, they believe you all to be witch friends, and to be murderers of a Justicar. Furthermore, sir, it sounds like there's been a plague. The Bloodmouth has been spreading up north, and, well, so they're blaming that on you as well.
No worse than I feared. Do you have anything else to say for yourself?
It will never happen again, sir. I promise you.
You are right about that. Sir John turns to leave, and as he's walking away, he says, I release you from my service.
My lord! My lord!
And I'm gone.
He continues just to kind of call out louder, more desperate, until you can no longer hear him.
Yeah. So I really did not pick up on anything that Eddard was saying to me earlier. And I think with that in mind, I really feel the need to do something good for once. And so we all probably arranged some sort of like meetup place or whatever later, like an inn or something. So I'm going to go there and talk to the quartermaster. As soon as I get there, just be like, don't worry, I found out about the Herald. I've released him from our service. And I have another task for you. And then I'm going to give Constance a list of things to procure.
Okay. We can probably take care of that in between sessions if you want.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
Okay, cool. And as soon as you finish the list and give her the coin with which to procure the items, she's off again.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Okay. Anything else?
Not for me.
So I discussed with Sir John about the Bleating Lamb as a potential meetup spot.
Yeah, that works.
It's pretty far, but I assume we've probably spread the news to the rest of the group. I mean, Ari and Dane and Tord have no intentions of staying there tonight, probably, but they might just go along with you. Yeah, that sounds like a good place.
Okay. So it sounds like maybe there's not much to do before we get to the Bleating Lamb. Is that correct?
Everything you put in front of us are tasks that I feel like we are not ready for.
Fantastic. Okay.
So,
All right. So you make your way to the Bleating Lamb. All of you, or whoever of you is meeting up, are able to find your way there. It seems to be a fairly well-known place. It's not like that it's necessarily crowded, but you have no trouble finding people who know how to direct you to get there. And you get there, and sure enough, there's this carving on the sign outside of a lamb with its mouth open exceptionally wide, and this almost childish, cartoonish looking kind of expression on its face, like it's completely and totally surprised. You walk inside, and it's a fairly quiet place. There's maybe half a dozen patrons in here, and they're all mainly just taking their evening meal at this point. And like they may be drinking, but there's no raucous, laughter or anything like that. There's a bard who plays quietly in the corner, and it's a fairly clean looking place. It's a pretty nice little establishment.
Eddard will approach the bar, and he just orders, some cheapy deepy ale to drink. Not his cup of tea at all, but it's whatever will do at this moment.
The barkeep is a half elf. Looks like he's Vykarilian as far as his human parentage goes, and his elven part looks like it might be of the same people, the moon elves, like Ariana Shial. He's kind of pale of skin, the way Ariana Shial is. He looks up as you approach. Yes, sir. How may I help you?
Eddard puts down 5 silver, and he slides it forward. And says, whatever you got that's cheapest, just keep them coming.
Of course, sir. Yes. Here. He kind of reaches up and pulls the tap on one of the kegs that's nearby, fills a glass, and hands it to you.
Thank you. He takes a sip. What does it taste like? Is it really the cheapest stuff?
It's not the cheapest stuff that you've probably drank before.
So bearable.
Yeah, absolutely bearable.
Wonderful. Eddard will nurse a drink at the bar.
He kind of looks at you for a while as he's kind of, tidying up and cleaning the bar's surface. He says, forgive me, sir, but, you seem troubled, maybe?
Eddard looks up, and his eyes are just, shot. But he does give a smile. Just a rough couple of days is all.
You've been on the road?
Yes, we traveled from the south.
I don't care for travel much myself out in the wilds. It's very dangerous, much more dangerous than most people would have you believe.
Honestly, up until a few months ago, travel wasn't my lifestyle choice either, but we all adapt.
I've been adapting my whole life.
I can about imagine.
Well, I'm happy to make your acquaintance.
Wonderful. He reaches his hand out to shake.
He shakes.
Eddard.
Eddard, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Rustful Through Papers.
Russell, you said?
My name is Jarrock.
Jarrock. It's a pleasure.
Likewise. I'll have your your ale continue to flow. And if you'd like, we let rooms. The
Yes,
bedroom.
I was just about to ask. How much for a room?
It's a gold piece, a gold piece for a night, but that includes the remainder of your meals for the day, as well as breakfast in the morning.
Wonderful. He kind of fiddles with his pack, and he will put down a gold for everybody to have their own room. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gold. My compatriots.
He kind of, his eyes go wide when you put down that much coin, and he kind of nods and collects it. Do I, forgive me for asking, but do I detect a northern accent?
That depends. If you can guess where I'm from, I'll tell you. Honest.
He kind of looks at you for a while. He says, I think I'm right about being from the Northlands.
Well
You
then,
certainly have that look about you, and I'd have to say Warrington. Was I right? Are you from Warrington?
well done.
He kind of pats himself on the shoulder. I have an ear for this. He kind of like touches the pointy end of his ear.
I take it you see many travelers
Yes, sir.
and hear them, of course.
Oh, of course, sir. Yes, there's many people who come here. Not as far away as Warrington, usually. But, a long time ago, I traveled. My mother's people are from the north.
Oh, I see. So you had been through Warrington
Yes, quite a while ago.
before all
but-
the ruckus that's going on there now.
Oh, yes. Terribly sorry to hear about all of that. It's awful, really.
Oh, it's no worry. But I'm sure it makes your mind a lot easier to think why I've been traveling so long.
I don't blame you. Black magic, murder, plague. It sounds like a level of hell, to be truthful.
You're not far off. But it was home.
Well, I hope that all of that is behind you, and that you
Yes,
find
I-
rest here in the Bleating Lamb.
I certainly appreciate you.
Let me know if you need anything else. And he kind of
Yes,
makes
sir.
it clear that he's kind of leaving you to your thoughts.
Yeah. Eddard will be deep in this drink.
And true to his word, he keeps them coming. Okay. Is there anything that the rest of you would like to do arriving at the Bleating Lamb if you are doing so? Or anything before sunset? Okay. Sunset arrives. It begins to change the sky's colors once again. And who of you have come to the Bleating Lamb? Who of you have taken supper and or taken up Eddard on his offer of a room? Sir John, Oriana Shiel, Dane, not sure.
My own room. That's really weird.
Sounds like your friend Eddard is paying.
Sir John allows it this once.
That's nice of you. Yeah, so I mean, I think perhaps the evening finds Dane sort of staring at this key on a table in front of him. Like his like travel belongings like on the floor next to him. They haven't been put in the room yet. Looking around to see like if someone's going to take this from me. Like this is just weird. So like it'll be several hours like into the night before Dane finally takes his crap upstairs. Might even be back after Ari and he get back from their visit to the garden.
Okay. So. Dusk happens. And Eddard, where are you waiting?
I think I find a spot near the bard, and I will be tipping him throughout the night. I don't know if it's like a rotating cast of people coming up to play or not, but whoever comes up, they get a little bit of a tip from Eddard.
All of them are very, very gracious for the coin. It seems like they certainly don't necessarily go without that kind of treatment, but the frequency seems unusual, but they are very much welcoming it. Okay. Let's see. Forgive the temporary explosion here. After a while of you waiting, you hear a strange noise behind you. And if you turn around, forgive me, I'm trying to do this and talk at the same time. Oh no. If you turn around, you see a familiar face. Standing just in front of the fireplace. And somewhat frightening the other patrons in the common room. When you turn around, there's Reagan. She looks kind of turned around for just a moment, and when she finally turns to face you, Eddard, and spots you, it takes her a moment. She kind of furrows her brow in your direction. Eddard? Eddard?
He just gives off a big smile, and he nods. Not letting... It's a strange feeling for Eddard. Like, all of the emotions that go along to what happened in Warrington are, like, muted because of all the tragedy, but he definitely looks happy to see Reagan.
Very much the same. She crosses the room very quickly, and as she does so, she throws her arms around you in an embrace, and like squeezes you a little too hard.
He hugs her back, and like the tears are kind of welling up in his eyes as the emotions of all of the things that have happened in the past month or two are starting to catch up with him after seeing this memory of home, for lack of a better word.
She grabs a hold of both of the sides of your face, and you can see that she's also has like emotion welling up in her eyes. She says, "By the gods, I had feared the worst, Eddard. All of the news coming out about Warrington, the rumors. What happened? Where did you go?"
There are a lot of people in the lobby. Or like the seating area?
At this time of night, there's only probably 3 or so other people in the common room.
I think Eddard would ask her to follow him to the room just because he doesn't want anybody to hear what he's about to explain to probably the only person besides his traveling companions that he knows he can trust, especially so far from home.
So, as this is all transpiring, are any of the other 3 of you in the common room at this time?
I imagine Dane is still preoccupied with his key, but looking around.
So I know I didn't actually send you a list of things that the herald or that the quartermaster would need to procure, but do you think I think you know what they're for. Do you know if it would be realistic for the quartermaster to be back and me to be like preparing in my room? Because if not, I'd definitely be down there.
I don't know exactly what the list had. How many items were on it? We'll use that as a gauge.
Let's just say that she's not back yet. I think some of the things that I'm thinking of would definitely take a little while.
Okay. So she is probably back. It's probably just not like she's placed the orders or, what have you, and, wherever it's coming from has to get it ready or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay. Excellent. And is Ari around?
Yes, yeah, Ari would be here. Because it's only sunset, right?
Right.
Yeah, so she'd still be here.
Okay. So you all see this transpire. This woman, essentially, for those of you who might be familiar with the magic, she teleports into this inn, and immediately, I mean, she's wearing incredibly expensive clothing, very expensive jewelry. She looks very well kept. She looks like she probably bathes very frequently. She looks like royalty almost. She appears and immediately crosses to Eddard, hugs him. The two of them begin this kind of whispered exchange, and Eddard says something and then turns and it looks like is heading upstairs towards the rooms. And she kind of stands there for a moment and kind of almost like rocks back on her heels a little, as if to kind of like double check what Eddard's just proposed. She says, Eddard?
No, it's... You understand, it's not like that. And he kind of whisper, he leans in a little bit closer. There are some things that have happened in the past months that I don't feel comfortable sharing with anybody but you.
I see. Okay. In that case. And she kind of looks around the room like she's worried for just a moment about what these other individuals might think or say, and then decides that, screw it, and she turns and walks with you up the stairs. So as they've left the common room, what is the reaction from the three of you?
I think all you'd see on Ari's face is just kind of a slight raised eyebrow, and maybe a little smirk on her face, as Eddard disappears upstairs with this woman.
So John looks over at Ari, and then Dane, and then gestures to the stairs. Cheers.
So I look at both of you. That's the part you're concerned with? not that she teleported in here. Your focus is on him knocking boots.
Dane, we fought a creature of black magic earlier today, and I'm speaking low enough that the rest of the folks can't hear me, like the rest of the patrons.
Yes, but everywhere we go, that anyone uses any magic, everyone loses their mind. And then I sort of look around the room at all these people eating their dinner and drinking their drinks who didn't even care that this woman just teleported into the room.
They definitely cared. They haven't done anything or said anything yet, but it's very obvious that they were taken.
Right, but they're not. But they're not burning witches. Last time we did magic in a town, they tried to burn us.
This is an urban location. These people are a lot more cosmopolitan, Dane.
I just imagine that the bartender says that. Like just out of nowhere.
I hear your judgment from here, sir.
Touche, bartender. Touche.
We're a cultured institution. Yeah, I think Sir John looks at Dane and says, "It could be for the best that eyes are drawn away from us specifically. You have not yet heard about the Herald."
What is this news about the Herald?
I found him, and he confirmed that we are not to be well received by anyone who knows us. Rumors fly and swarm about us. Apparently, they're even blaming the plague in the Northlands upon us.
Yeah, of course they are.
And we're not worried that the teleporting princess is going to, who just happens to show up and then go upstairs with the guy who paid for all of our rooms?
I don't think she can make anything worse at this point.
She's obviously someone important.
He didn't seem shocked to see her. If I come to think of it now.
That is curious.
And he was the one who suggested we come here, was he not?
Yes. Most curious. I suppose we shall have to ask him later, unless someone wants to go up now.
Oh, no.
I mean, I could if you...
Ways, no.
Dane. Young Dane. I think we should leave him alone. Your daring do is notable, but not here.
Right.
We cut upstairs where Eddard, you and Reagan have reached your room. Once the door is closed, she has entered the room, like crossed most of it and then turned, and is kind of almost like wringing her hands in front of her. Eddard, what's wrong?
He goes into his pack and pulls the diary or journal where he has been keeping track of everything that has happened since the initial events of Warrenton, and he just spills the beans about everything. And I mean everything. Now, I can't remember everything because my memory's not that great, but he has written, I mean, every day for the past 2 months, whatever. And he wants to make sure that he gives the most detailed account that he can to Reagan.
She follows along in the diary, but also pays attention to you as you're talking, almost listening to what you're saying and also reading what you've written and kind of making an amalgamation of the two. This is something you've seen her kind of do before. She has this knack of reading and comprehending without paying full attention to what she's reading. And that's one of the reasons why she's such a sought-after witch, sorceress. I guess technically she would be a wizard. And did you write down the events of last night or the last couple of nights when you were attacked?
Yes. Yeah, that was the first thing he did after burying the body.
Okay. So when you finish with that tale and the arrival here in Vykaril, she looks completely flabbergasted. I had heard a lot of these tales, but obviously not in proper detail. Only the kinds of stories that rumors generate, and some of these truths are stranger than the rumors, I have to say. But
I'm sure.
You've been at the heart of all of this. All of this?
All of what exactly?
You were in Warrington when the city was lost.
Yes, I looked for you. I searched the study. I found my parents, but I didn't find you.
She kind of puts her hand kind of up over her mouth. Oh, Eddard, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
They evacuated the Baron and his family, and being of the court, I was taken with them. It was awful, Eddard.
So he made it out.
The Baron? Yes. Yes, of course.
Well, that's good to hear. Where have you been?
We've been staying in Malrich, the new capital. There's a large tournament that's happening soon, and there's a lot of talk of war in this area, Eddard. And once again, you're here, right in the middle of it. She shakes her head, almost laughing at your poor luck, but in a empathetic way.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I've always been a little in over my head. Perhaps not this much. I don't know what all to make of this. You know about the vision that I've been having since I was a kid. You were the only one I confided in. I was arrested in Warrington for killing who I thought was this man, and now I wake up in my sleep and they're monsters sent to kill me by what I can't. I struggle to put. I just can't put it together.
And what you've described is very old, very powerful magics. It's not something I'm versed in, but I have read some about it. A revenant that's very serious, Eddard. Who would you have made that angry?
I don't know. It was, and he goes into his pack and he holds up the chain of Galalon.
Where did you get this? This is from the body?
It was a Pendrake.
The Revenant. Pendrake. I know that name from somewhere. I just cannot seem to remember. You know that is exceptionally odd for Reagan. She has a very solid memory.
Yeah, he looks visibly frustrated. And she would have heard the part of the story where he renounced his name as Eddard Pendrake of the Pendrakes and started basically this entire noble family anew based on a thought that he may be the continuation of the bloodline. And he explained, he told everything about the dagger and, traveling to the capital of the Pendrakes family crypt and all that. and it's so strange that she can't put together. But I mean, who am I to judge? I've been at this for weeks trying to figure this out, and this is all new information to her.
He says, well, I mean, if this creature was made from a body from the crypts of Galalon, I mean, you're here. You should look, don't you think?
Yes, but I struggle to find the answers. How am I to just get into these? I don't want them to know who I am. I don't want to be found out here.
Well, you said you travel with the
probably
son.
Not welcome.
You said that you also travel with the son of a baron.
Yes.
A baron who means to now swear fealty to House Lathelbrun, yes?
Believe that was on the table.
Well, then perhaps that's how you get in.
Who leverage the fealty is access to the crypts.
I mean, if they are to become a serving house, surely he could ask to inspect the crypts. It wouldn't be too much to ask, I don't think.
Here's my problem. I've already asked so much of all of my companions and stood in the way of all of their goals and their dreams, and I've been asking and I haven't been giving. I don't know how to ask anymore.
Then I'll ask them, she says, like almost defiantly. You don't ever ask for anything, Eddard. What are you talking about? You never have. You've been put upon your whole life.
I think it's at that point where the cracks in the facade really start to come through. And she's starting to see the Eddard that she remembers from Warrington. It's been a long road. Everybody's so tired.
Of course. Well, I should probably get back. I didn't let anyone know where I was going. When I heard from you, it was... I didn't know what to think.
I didn't expect to get an answer, to be honest. I feared the worst, such as you.
I'm sorry that all of this has befallen you, Eddard. It's not fair to you.
Maybe not, but when I think about all of the things that we've gone through and all the people I've seen and all the blood that was spilled and it's not fair to these people either. I can't feel sorry for myself here. I just have to keep going.
Well, I'm very happy to have learned that you're safe. And please be careful.
He stands up from the table and gives Reagan another long hug. I'll be down in a moment.
Of course. She turns and kind of gives you like a half curtsy and then leaves the room.
Yeah, as soon as the door shuts, he kind of just sits down at the table with his ale and he puts his head down on the table and he just starts to sob. Just uncontrollably, like letting the facade fully fall away here. And it's been a hard time for young Eddard.
Downstairs. Unless there was anything that the three of you were going to be discussing or doing while this telling of the tale happened, she's going to come back downstairs and seek some of you out. She comes down the stairs, and her demeanor is slightly different than it was whenever she was talking to Eddard. She seems a lot more confident now, a lot less emotional. She comes down the stairs, and she kind of looks over the crowd, and she spots you, Ariana Shial, being the least common of the people left in the room. She strides over to you and motions to an empty chair at the table. May I sit, please?
Please do.
She pulls.
Are we all at one table?
Oh, that's up to you guys.
That's what I was asking Ari and Sir John.
I'd imagine so.
I think Dane probably gets up and pulls the chair back for her.
Oh, thank you. She kind of gives you a curt nod and then sits down. She motions to the barkeep and orders herself a glass of wine. You are Eddard's traveling companions, I take it?
Aye, we are his friends.
Friends, that's good to hear. It sounds as though danger has hounded you for some time.
Where is Eddard?
He asked to be left alone for a moment. I heard him weeping as I left.
Ari is... I'd like to do an insight check on her.
Okay.
Yeah. She's just a little suspicious.
Sure.
That would be a 23.
She seems to be concerned. Genuinely so. And the mistrust seems to be mutual.
Weeping, you say?
Yes, I believe so. Not that there's anything wrong with him doing so. He's been through a lot. It sounds like all of you have been through a lot. I don't blame
Maybe
him at
him
all.
more than most. He was so young. Such a few months ago.
Eddard is sometimes a bit too soft-hearted for his own good. He's confused, searching for answers about this House Pendrake business.
Who are you, by the way?
Oh, forgive me. My name is Regan. I'm the royal wizard to the Baron of Warrington.
I think Eddard has actually mentioned Regan a couple times.
Yes.
To Ari, I believe,
It
right?
was her office that you guys kind of tore apart looking for the magic that would help you rebuild the teleportation circle.
She's who we were looking for when the priest decided to try and kill us.
That too.
You're Regan.
Yes, I take it that Eddard has mentioned me.
Oh.
She kind of blushes.
Oh, yes.
I see. But this, as I said, this House Pendrake business has him very... He's just upset and confused. He needs to have answers. Eddard never did well with not knowing the reason why something was something. He needed to know why.
I imagine that goes double when he found out that he's something. Someone?
I don't know. I don't know
think
what
he's
makes of it.
Yeah, I think he's struggling with the fact that he's not who he thought he was.
I think he's okay with the fact he's not who he thought he was. I don't think he's ever been completely confident or comfortable with who he was. I think it's just that not knowing why he is who he is.
Hmm.
And that's
Or
why
why it was hidden.
That's why I've come to talk to all of you on his behalf, because he is too selfless to ask.
Well, before you ask us something, what's the appropriate title for a wizard? A royal wizard. I look at Sir John with that question like, you should know this.
Why, yes, I should.
Yeah, I mean, royal wizard is kind of a title.
Yeah, that's so hard to say. So
arcane advisor,
arcanist. So like Dane kind of like puzzles trying to figure out like should he be like royal wizard Reagan? That sounds really weird. Before
just call me Reagan.
Before you ask us for something, I know this is out of place, but can you get us into the crypts? The person we ran into, I don't know what Eddard told you. We had a run-in with another Pendrake, and they had a So Dane kind of like, yeah, and he's from the crypt. And I told Eddard that if we could just get into the crypt, we could figure out who this person was.
And that is precisely what I was trying to ask you, was to take him into the crypts, if you could. Sir John, I believe. She kind of looks at you, Sir John, kind of questioningly. You have the look of a knight?
Indeed I am.
You are of House Lightenor, and your intention is to... And she kind of like looks around and then leans closer. Your intention is to swear fealty to House Lathelbrun?
If they will have us, that is my intention. Although we are somewhat worried that they will not accept. We have made some waves in the forest on our way here.
It sounds like you have made waves wherever you have gone.
Indeed.
Well, Lord Alric is... He can be a tenuous man, but he's also fair. If he hears you out, would you please, for Eddard's sake, see if he can get you into the crypts, because... And she kind of turns to now address you, Dane. It is beyond my powers, even if I wanted to manipulate the situation.
I will do what I can, of course. If they will have us, if they will admit an audience with people who are rumored to have spread a plague, then certainly I will take him into the crypts.
You still have the writ that Bane Shiol gave to you? The one that Eddard mentioned? Proving your innocence?
2 of them, actually.
I think at that, Ari looks at Dane almost like, really?
When when we first ran into Sir John's situation, I was worried that they would keep the writ, so I made a copy of it.
Is it a perfect forgery? Did you use magic?
No. I mean, I imagine the original one is magic.
If Bane
And I'll,
Shial-
like, reach into my pouch and pull out the 2, like, rolled parchments.
If Bane Shial put pin to it, it's magic. And your copy, if it is not, you should be careful who finds out you have that. A forgery like that could possibly cost you your life.
Yeah, well, not having it could have done the same thing, but I understand.
She kind of looks up towards the staircase. She says, I really should be returning. I've been gone for some time.
Up the... oh, you mean...
No, not up. No.
Well, I mean, he talks about you a lot. He hasn't seen you in a long time. He almost died trying to find you when we were trying to get out of Warrington.
She looks highly uncomfortable. She's like shifting in her seat and avoiding like eye contact at this point.
Reagan, where are you? Well, where did you come from?
The Duke of Warrington, or the Baron of Warrington, and his family and the court, those of us who managed to escape, have been staying in Malrich since we reached it, the new capital, on Lake Kelmium.
How far away from Dane's hometown is that?
Let's see. Where is Dane's town? Forgive the incorrect image. There's no man behind the curtain.
Wizard.
Let's see here. Okay. So, you guys are over here on the left in Vykaril.
Yes.
Malrich, kind of in the center. That's where she's talking about.
Yes.
And you were from something like Good Soil, or?
Yes, a little tiny speck that we said was on here somewhere originally, but I don't know where it is.
I think you were close to Dundren, because that's where one of the NPCs that you created was from.
That sounds right.
So
not
Malrich is kind of across this very large lake from Dundren.
okay. Are you going back to Malrich then?
Yes.
So again, Dane like rummages in his bag and pulls out this letter that looks like it's been opened and closed at least 100 times, and puts it on the table and starts to slide it across to her. My mother is in a small village near Dundren named it's called Good Soil. Is there any chance that you could find someone to take this to her?
You're from Good Soil?
Yeah.
Do you know a Candace Tully?
Yes.
Huh. I've become fairly good friends with Candace Tully over the last few weeks.
Huh. Really?
She said that she's from good soil. She said that her sister still lives there. With her family, with her son. Is that... Are you Candace Tully's nephew?
Yeah. She's my mother's sister.
Well, the strings that are attached to you lot are very strange indeed. Yes, I know someone who can get a letter to your mother.
Oh. Um. This is going to sound very, very strange. Would you not let my aunt know that you spoke with me?
I see. Of course. I I can hire a courier to carry the letter once I return instead.
Thank you.
You should know that your aunt is... She is worried about you.
Oh. You haven't heard anything of my father by chance, have you?
She doesn't usually talk about your father.
Yeah.
I get the sense that they're not very close.
My father always said that there was something strange about her.
Yes, I suppose so. She's very gifted in magic.
Yeah. My mother too.
That's what she said. Very nature-based magic. A druid.
Well, thank you for the letter taking up.
Of course. It seems I was intended to be here for more than one reason. Dystonia has a tricky way of getting what she wants.
How did you know where Eddard was going to be?
This is where I asked him to meet me.
Okay.
There are magical means of communicating over great distances. Eddard did so. He reached out to me, and I told him to meet me here. Why do you look so shocked?
Well, I don't know if you'd believe me, but even with everything we've been through, that whole magical talking to people over a long distance has never come up. Nor has a teleporting best friend.
Oh, yes, well...
Well, the best friend part came up, but not the... I thought, from what he said, that you'd need like this big stone rune with all these runes, and they only connected to other places, which is how we ended up not being where we wanted to be, but ended up not in Warrington. And
that is magic that enables others to travel without the use of casting the spell, yes, and can move greater amounts of things at a time. This magic is, well, simpler, but it's more personalized.
Well, I'm glad that you're capable of it. I imagine seeing you did more good for him than any of us could have done.
She again kind of looks up the stairs. I hope so. I truly hope so. I really must go. I desperately want to say goodbye to him, but if he's not ready to, maybe I should just go.
No, you should. You should. I'll reach over and grab her hand. You need to say goodbye. The last time that he saw you, you didn't get that chance. And I don't think he'd want that to happen again.
I think you're right. You have a lot more in common with your aunt than you might think. She smiles, and then she turns and kind of hurries back up the stairs. Eddard, soon there's a knock at the door, kind of quiet. Eddard?
Yes, come in.
She opens the door just a crack and kind of peers around the jam. I hate to have to depart so early, but I really do need to go.
Oh, yes, I understand. I am sure every moment away from the baronies, moment they could use you.
It might raise some questions, and
yes,
I don't want to give any answers that could endanger you, nor do I want to lie.
Understandable. I wouldn't want you to either. He gives Reagan another hug, and he just he whispers into her ear, "If you hear anything, you know where to find me."
She nods, having hugged you back, and she looks at you for a moment, and then she actually kisses you, Eddard. Not a overly passionate kind of kiss, more of a "it's good to see you, dear friend" kind of kiss. And she kisses you, and she says, if you make it as far as Malrich one day, please stop by and say hello. I think even the Baron would be happy to see you. Hear your story, what really happened.
I wouldn't miss the opportunity. Thank you for everything.
You've changed a lot, Eddard Bainton. I'm proud of what I see before me.
It certainly has been a long road, but I think I'm proud too.
We'll meet again, my lord. And she bows.
Till then.
And then she departs. She teleports out of the room and is gone in a flash. And I think that's where we're going to end tonight's session. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this evening and watching along with us as we played. Or if you are watching in the future, thank you for doing so. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for taking kind of a little bit of a side jaunt this evening from the usual, what we might have typically got up to. It was really nice to finally be digging in to some fresh dirt, if you will. I had a lot of fun finally getting to kind of reveal some of these things. It's been a long time coming. So, yeah, I'm going to pass it back over to my players so that they can do their outros, tell you to wash your hands, etc. And then we will go ahead and be calling it a night. So, first up, we have Steve.
Awesome game, Jeremy. Thank you very much, and to everyone else, it's always a pleasure. Yeah. So the only thing I'm gonna plug again is to tune back in now 13 days. Look at that. We entertained you for so long. It's not 14 days. It's only 13 days now. So that you can join us for Sunder Hearth episode 3, session 3. And do jump in and chat in the chat boxes, because that stuff we pay attention to. It really gets talked about sometimes live on there. Sometimes it goes into a document, it gets kicked around and brought to life there, but it's always super helpful. So yeah, and I guess that's about it. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, anybody who mentioned a channel, either at the top of the session or if they mention one now, you should be able to find the link to that in the description of this video below. Please definitely go check them out, including Sunder Hearth that Steve just mentioned. Definitely come back towards the end of the month and check us out as we spin bullshit into a setting. Show that it can be done. How to polish a turd. No, I'm just kidding. The ideas that we've come up with so far are fantastic, especially some of the ones that our guests have created. I'm very excited to see how Sunder Hearth is shaping up, and I cannot wait to be able to actually run games in that setting in the future at some point, but I'm forcing myself to wait. All right, next up we have Eli.
Hey everybody, this was an awesome session. Lots of fun stuff going on. I'm Eli Gertz. It was a pleasure to play. You can find me on mostly Twitter these days, but I've got, like storefronts or whatever too. I'm sure the links are down there. Yeah, this is a blast, and I'm always really grateful to play around in this really fraught, exciting setting. So thank you very much, Jeremy. And remember to wash your hands, people. We got a pandemic to fight out there.
He's knighted. He knows.
I know what I'm talking about.
Sir Squeaky
It's a knight
Clean.
with a K.
It's silent. Fantastic, man. Yeah. I love this game, what you guys have made out of this so far. And these characters are so complex and complicated, and I love the fact that I can abuse the ever-living hell out of you guys, and you keep coming back every single month, asking for more, no less. That fills me with a lot of pride. So thank you for being a part of it so far, Eli. All right, next up we have Karen.
I absolutely love diving into the character backstories of my fellow players. So it was such a pleasure to see some of the stuff for Eddard come out. And even Dane, the shoe drop. So I'm looking forward to what's all in store for us as we go forward. And we missed you, Tord. May you be back next turn.
Here. Hopefully he's washing his hands. No. Yeah, definitely missed you, Baron. I know that Tord would have had some very witty things to add to everything that went on tonight, and I am sorry that I did not fulfill. But, I mean, honestly, could I have?
I got it.
Oh, well, grump, grump, my bird, grump, elves, grump.
Raunchy statement about Eddard.
Clearly I was wrong.
I bet he's having fun up them stairs.
Perfect. See, Baron,
Like
I'm sorry, you've been replaced by an amalgamation of everyone else doing an impersonation of your character instead. No, seriously, Baron, we missed you. Love you, buddy. I hope everything's sorted out, and I can't wait to see you back in next month's episode. And yes, Karen, there's been a lot of shuffling around trying to make sure that I hit everybody's stuff, and it definitely feels like we hadn't touched on Eddard's stuff. And I know he's been asking after this damn stuff about his family history for so long, and I felt bad because of what it is. It felt like I just wasn't giving him any information, and I know it had to be frustrating. So I especially thank you, Josh, for being so patient, so patient thus far in the campaign before we could get to some of this stuff and unearthing it. But last but certainly not least, I put the ball in your court, sir.
Now, I will say, I mean, canonically, there's not a whole lot for me to learn from a whole lot of people because of the amount of Pendrakes there are left, alive. Man, I don't even know what to say. What a game. Yeah, I was on my heels at every turn, and it was definitely thank you guys for tuning into the Eddard Bainton show. It just felt really good to get some of the answers. It was awesome. Thank y'all so much. This game is a treasure.
Thank you, Josh. It means a lot to me that this game has grown to mean that much to you guys as much as it has to me. So yeah, there's certainly more courage, fealty, and woe to be had in this game. Maybe emphasis on the woe. But I can't wait until the next one and we dive even deeper into some of these characters' tragic, I'm not even going to say backstories because it's kind of still going. That's their tragic story in general. And see how they continue to fight and scrape and kick and run in order to stay on the good side of things, the right side, and to see how long they're able to do it. So, this has been Beneath the Banner's Shadow, and I'm Jeremy. Until next time, may your dice roll high, and your snacks always be within reach.